what is the best way to deal with a demanding boss as an HR? Join me in this conversation as we highlight some of the potential character traits of demanding bosses and how you can be able to navigate this as an HR professional. As usual, my name is Mary, and I'm glad to be joined by Paminas in this conversation. Thank you, Paminas, for joining in.
Thank you.
We are discussing about a demanding boss,
yes,
especially for the HR professionals.
Yes.
And before we even get to discuss the best way on how to deal with such a boss, what are some of the particular character traits of a demanding boss?
So before I answer you, would you describe me as a demanding boss?
It depends, I believe, with how demanding I would feel you are.
Okay. Yeah, so this is, it's an interesting question because I've interacted with many professionals and some of them, especially the ones who are at the formative stage of their HR career, some have not gotten very positive experience when it comes to dealing with either the CEO or the director. Yeah, and sometimes you find even someone, doubting themselves. Yeah. So what are some of the characteristics of a demanding boss? Number one, I would say high standards of perfectionism. So this is someone who wants a job done and done in a very particular way. Yeah, so no room for mistakes. Another trait could be urgency. So they ask you to do something and in the next 30 minutes they want you to having been done and submitted. Yeah, so fast. They want someone who is able to work very fast. There's also another trait where the boss could issue either unclear or they keep changing expectations. Yeah, so they ask you to do this on Monday, and by Wednesday they come and tell you, no, Mary, I want you to change course and do A, B, C, D.
Something different.
Something different, yeah. There are other bosses who, as part of, being demanding, where they prioritize the outcome as opposed to the employee well-being. So for example, I know you're a family person, but here I am, I'm giving you work at 5:30, and I know yet that is the time you're supposed to go home, and this will take you an hour, and so by the time you're done, it's 7 p.m. So if I don't have regard to you as an individual, and I'm just focusing on work, and maybe it's something that can be delivered tomorrow, it is not as urgent. Yeah, sure. So top of mind, I would say those are the traits that come to mind. And I must say this, you could have a demanding boss who means well, but you could also have a very demanding boss who's toxic. So sometimes it's a very thin line between a demanding boss and someone who's toxic. Yeah, for me, a boss can be demanding as long as it's results oriented. So toxicity starts to come in when now I combine the demanding work and also I start to attack you at a personal level. Yeah, because the instances for sure where you could be leaving at 5:30, but something urgent has come up and this needs to be responded in the and you probably have to extend
up to 6
or exactly. But if it's a one-off, that's understandable. But you can imagine if it becomes daily, maybe 3 times a week, instead of you going home at your regular 5 or 5:30 p.m., you find you're always leaving work at 7 p.m. Then that's now someone who's being more toxic as a boss, as opposed to being demanding. Yeah, that's
interesting. Maybe in our next video we should really dive deeper into the difference between the two.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Now, as an HR professional, I know with HR there is a lot of expectation from their bosses or the business owner. What is the best way for an HR to be able to deal with a demanding boss?
Yeah, so HRs, it's a very demanding career in the sense that, you sit in between the business and the employees, and there are certain expectations that both parties have of you. So number one, I would say when it comes to your boss, I always advise HR professionals, part of your 1 month responsibility when you join an organization, understand the expectations of the boss. And it doesn't hurt even to ask, what do you expect of me to do? How do you, and what is your working style? Yeah, how do you want even to be communicated? Understand from the very beginning, because you find the points of conflict, they're not on the bigger issues, they're not on the technical issues, performance management, the labor laws or things like that. It's on the working style. So the more you understand your boss, the better then you'll be able to relate with them and their demands. So that's number one. Number two, you as a HR is to make sure that you are extremely organized and you're able also to be proactive. Because a demanding boss expects you to see problems even
ahead of time.
Exactly, even before they occur. So you cannot come and tell him, now we are having a very high turnover. It's for you to be able to understand, you know, as a HR, and be able to see, oh, if we do this, this is the implication, and be able to put out the fires before they really become big. Yeah. So be able to prioritize, stay organized. That's very important. I would also say, as a HR, is to be able to manage your time well and priorities. Yeah. So you shouldn't be the person who's always being constantly reminded that, oh, you haven't done A, B, C, D. Yeah. Occasionally, yeah, you might drop the ball here, but make sure within, if you organize well, you'll be able to undertake all your tasks and be able now even to handle some of the demanding tasks your boss could be giving you, especially if you work in a fast-paced organization, because that's where I normally see these things happening. Yeah. If you know in a day there are 1 or 2 things that come in your way unexpected, then it's to make sure in an 8-hour day, you only focus on plan for 6 hours, because then the other 2 hours maybe you can put them for the unexpected.
Sure.
Yeah. You also need to adopt the working style of the boss. And this goes back to what I was discussing, understanding the boss. Yeah. So if the boss is someone who comes to work at 6:30 and your contract says 8:30 and you come to that work at 8:30, then there's clearly an issue there. So the boss, what they're telling you is they prefer someone who's an early riser. So it doesn't mean also you come at 6:30, but for sure you can come early, and maybe that will give you room to also go home early. And that is part of the negotiation you can have. You can tell your boss, can I be coming at 7:30 and I leave at 4 or 4:30? And for them, if they understand your reasoning, they'll be able to understand. Yeah, so adopt to their working style, because they cannot be coming at 6:30 and they leave at 3. And you come at 8:30, and you, by 3 you've done a quarter of the work, so it's not going to work.
Sure.
Yeah. And lastly is to always stay calm and be professional, even when you're provoked. Organization exists. We have a hierarchy in organization, so when you're professional and you stay calm, people always wonder, how come? Why is this person not shouting back at me?
Sure.
Exactly. Why are they not doing that? And most of the time, not everyone, especially if you're dealing with a toxic boss, but if it's a demanding boss and they see that, oh, you don't shout back or you don't send those angry emails, most of the people, they'll start now to handle you in a better way, in a professional way. Yeah.
Interesting. As an employee or an HR professional now in this context, what are some of the resources or support systems that you would talk of that I can be able to turn to the struggling, if I've been struggling with the demanding boss, what resources or support systems can I be able to turn to? Maybe you can touch on that as we summarize the video.
I would say you only have 2 options. And the first option is talking to mentors and coaches. The more experience you get in your career, you realize you get to see a lot. So if you are watching this video and you're 25, 26, or even maybe up to 30 and you're starting your HR career, just get to understand the people, your colleagues who are 35, 40, 45, people like us, we've gone through it all.
Sure.
So someone will be able to advise you. They'll tell you, Mary, or this is how to handle this boss, A, B, C, D. Or a coach, someone professional like me, you can come and, if you're facing a toxic CEO or even a board, we can be able to discuss and look at the options which are there for you. Yeah, so that's number 1 resource. The second resource is really not a resource, but it's for you to be self-aware. You could be having a gap yourself. So let's look at the issue of time management and being able to prioritize. So the boss could be tough on you because indeed you have a gap. So being aware, it's a form of feedback. It can be a form of feedback, and it's for you to see then how do you rectify. Yeah, because, and I would want you to look back. If you've had 3 bosses and each one of them the areas of conflict has been on time management.
Yeah.
That clearly made it, that shows that it's an area that you need to improve on. Yeah. But lastly, and I always say this, if you feel that the boss is becoming too demanding or it's now becoming toxic, then just know that there's an option for you to look for another job. Because bosses rarely change.
Sure.
They never change. Bosses and organization directors rarely change. It's for you to change. Because if it's been working for them, why? I'll come
Why
shout,
is it not working with you?
Yeah. If I come, I shout at Mary, and she's there in the company for 3 years, and then I hire John, and within 1 or 2 months, he has issues with me shouting at him. Most of the time, you'll find, because it has worked in the past, is for John to leave, because for me, it's worked. So I would highly encourage, if you analyze yourself and say, wow, I think I'm okay. And this person, I've tried to address, I'm okay with time management, I prioritize my tasks, I've asked him to communicate his needs, I feel that I understand his needs very well, and I've been meeting most of his needs, then this person is more or less becoming toxic, and you need to exit. Yeah.
That's really coming out very strongly.
Yes.
In terms of also self-assessment, because we might assume that the boss is being demanding.
Yeah, it's a reality. It happens. We are not perfect ourselves, and that is why being self-aware is important. If you are being called out, not once, not twice, as we say, jiite kwa mkutano, try and understand the context.
Sure.
And then from there, you can make an informed decision.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. When it comes to dealing with a demanding boss as an HR professional, I believe the insights we've shared will really come in handy for you, but we still encourage you to reach out to us. As Paminas has mentioned, one of the best ways to just get a support system is to have a discussion with someone to mentor you, to guide you, someone who has walked this path before. And we come in handy as corporate staffing services, always ready and available to have a conversation with you to see how best we can support you excel or grow in your career as an HR professional. We encourage you to chat with us in the comment section on topics that you would want us to discuss to come in handy in your career growth, and we'll be glad to cover them in our upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.